On August 29, 2025, a federal appeals court looked at one of President Trump's signature policies and delivered a stunning rebuke, reminding everyone that even a president can't just do whatever they want. This isn't just some dry legal proceeding, it's a fundamental check on power. Think of the presidency as a toddler with a magic marker. The courts are supposed to be the exasperated parent who finally says, "Enough! No more drawing on the Constitution." It's a judicial intervention that cuts through the political noise and partisan screaming to ask a very simple question. Does the law actually allow for this? And in this case, the answer was a resounding, reverberating, absolutely not. So, how did we even get here? To understand the court's ruling, you have to go back to tariffs. A tariff is just a tax on imported goods. The idea is to make foreign products more expensive so people buy American-made stuff instead. Trump loved tariffs. He talked about them like they were a magic wand that could fix everything. To justify this sweeping economic warfare, the administration didn't go to Congress for permission. Instead, they dusted off a 1977 law, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA. IEPA was meant to give the president power to respond to unusual, extraordinary foreign threats, like sanctioning a rogue nation or freezing terrorist assets. It was meant for actual emergencies, like a hostile state developing nuclear weapons. Not for when the president feels sad that America buys too many t-shirts from Vietnam, but the administration stretched national emergency until it was thinner than a supermodel's alibi. The trade deficit with China, a national emergency. So, after months of legal wrangling, the Court of Appeals finally issued its verdict, and it was a doozy. The judges didn't mince words. IEPA grants the president broad powers during an emergency, but it doesn't grant him infinite powers. The act was not intended to be a blank check for the executive branch to completely overhaul U.S. trade policy on a whim. The court pointed out that the Constitution explicitly gives Congress the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations, to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, excises. That's Article 1, Section 8, for anyone keeping score at home. The core of the court's justification was that the Trump administration's use of IEPA went far beyond its intended purpose. It's like your house has a leaky faucet, so you decide to solve the problem by bulldozing the entire neighborhood. The court's message was clear. The solution must have a rational relationship to the problem. You can't just use a public health crisis as a pretext for a massive, unrelated economic war. It must be a specific, defined threat, and the president's response must be directly targeted at that threat. Let's talk about the real-world impact of these tariffs. It's not just an abstract legal debate, it's about money, specifically, your money. The fundamental truth about tariffs is that they are taxes paid by domestic importers, who then pass those costs on to consumers. Despite Trump's repeated, and I mean repeated, claims that China was paying, study after study shows that's simply not true. American businesses and consumers have been footing the bill. A report from the National Bureau of Economic Research confirmed importers bore virtually the entire cost. That led to higher prices on bicycles and higher prices on baseball caps. It was a tax on the American people, gift-wrapped in patriotic rhetoric. Now, were there any winners? Yes, a few. Some domestic industries, like steel, did see a short-term benefit, and aluminum. This led to some job gains in those specific sectors. For every job created in the steel industry, many more were lost in auto manufacturing. Unsurprisingly, Donald Trump's reaction to the court's ruling was, let's say, characteristically subtle. In a fiery post on Truth Social, he called the decision a disgraceful attack on presidential power made by radical left judges who hate America. He vowed to take the fight to the Supreme Court, promising a swift and total victory. The Supreme Court, with its current conservative majority, including 3 justices appointed by Trump himself, will have the final say. The outcome there is far from certain. Congressional Democrats, some moderate Republicans, have hailed the ruling as a victory for the rule of law. Business groups, particularly retailers and manufacturers who were hammered by the tariffs, have breathed a collective sigh of relief. The United States Chamber of Commerce issued a statement praising the decision for providing much-needed clarity and a check on unfettered executive power in trade. If the ruling is upheld by the Supreme Court, it would represent a significant shift in American trade policy. They would likely need explicit authorization from Congress, forcing a public debate and compromise rather than rule by executive decree. Ultimately, this stunning decision is about more than just tariffs. It's a fundamental debate over the power of the presidency and the health of our democracy.